Here are my preview and predictions for UFC Fight Night Moicano versus Benoit Denis. I'm pretty hungover right now, so I'm just gonna do the main card and I'll show you the bets that I've placed on this card. In total, I have $625 in total across this card, so I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, I guess. I'm not just gonna give out picks without any repercussions, I suppose, for myself. But we're gonna start off with Faraz Ziam versus Matt Favola. I'm gonna pick Faraz Ziam for this fight. I think he's gonna make it pretty boring. Matt Favola is a pretty 50-50 fighter, to be honest. You can never predict any of his fights. Like his last fight, he got destroyed by Benoit Denis, and but before that, he destroyed Drew Dober. So I mean, he does have the wrestling in his arsenal, I suppose, to take Faraz Ziam down, like Claudio Puelles did. Um, but Ziam did the better damage there. I just think Ziam's just going to be too rangy for him. Just be a bit more, just a bit too boring, I guess. Just keep him at range, piece at him. He could knock him out as well. You never know. Matt Favola is not the highest IQ fighter. He could threaten a takedown, but ah, I mean, Ziam's got no punching power. Let's be honest here, but I think he wins a decision. I do have money on this fight. I'll put it somewhere on the screen right now. $125 on that one. He was the underdog when I picked him. The odds seem to be 50-50 now. I'm going with Faraz Ziam here. Next up, we have Morgan Charrier versus Gabriel Miranda. I'm picking Morgan Charrier. I'm expecting him to be the more active fighter in this fight. Gabriel Miranda, I mean, he's coming off a win over Shane Young, who missed weight by like 5 pounds. He was on a big losing streak. That was his fourth loss in a row. He didn't look the best. Gabriel Miranda got the submission on him. Good on him. Rear naked choke, I think it was. But Morgan Charrier, I think, just gonna be a more active fighter. His last fight against Chepe, that was a pretty close fight. He was really active in the first round. I actually thought he won the first round, and then I think he dropped the next 2 rounds to Chepe. I'm expecting something pretty similar to that. Him just gonna put the pressure on him. Boom, boom, boom. Strikes to the body, strikes to the head from a distance, maybe. Just a boring fight. He can lose though. I'm not putting money on this fight. Gabriel Miranda, I mean, he could just shock everyone and get a submission. I mean, one of these is bound to happen on this card, considering how much I'm picking favorites and everyone seems to be picking favorites. But I'm quite doubtful that it's on this fight. But it is the fight that I would avoid, just because the submission game. And I mean, Morgan's a good enough takedown, so I wouldn't. It's not the worst pick, but he's too much of a favorite right now to, you know, to make some real kind of profit off of. Next up, we have Kevin Gisay versus Brian Battle. I do have money on this fight. I don't know why I did that. I'm pretty. I'm not the most confident, but I do think Brian Battle takes this one. He looked great against his fight against Angelusa, and before that, he's been getting a lot of early finishes, like against Takashi Soto. So I'm expecting something similar. Kevin just said he was getting hit in his last fight, I do think, against Song Kanan, but he has some great leg kicks, and Brian Battle seems to be struggling to defend some leg kicks. As seen in his fight, let me just check again, against AJ Fletcher, who was throwing good leg kicks at him, but AJ Fletcher was also a midget in that fight. Like, he was tiny compared to Brian Battle. Brian Battle gave Green as well for a first round finish. I think he's got what it takes to win the fight. I do think if it goes to a decision, though, Kevin just said will win, so be careful of that. But the pick right now is Brian Battle. He can be controlled with takedowns, as we saw with Renat Frakiganov. But I'm expecting him to defend the takedowns, go for an early finish, round one finish. That's the prediction. I have money on him to just win from money line, but if you're looking to make some profit, I'm gonna go Brian Battle by TKO is the pick. Next up, we have William Gomez versus Joe Anderson Brito. William Gomez is a technical fighter, but he's not a volume fighter per se. And whenever you have non-volume fighters, you kind of just like they either have to have such great distance control or striking from mid range, or do enough damage, or look for a finish of low volume that don't think William Gomez has. Joe Anderson Brito, on the other hand, he hits like a truck, honestly. Like, he threw those leg kicks against Jack Shaw and just completely wrecked his leg. He also has a submission threat, so he has more ways to win. He could take him down, get the submission. This is one of those fights where I am expecting something weird to happen just because of so many favorites on this card, and surely the entire Paris roster can't sweep right. But I'm gonna pick Joe Anderson Brito here. I think there's just too many ways for him to win. The leg kicks, I mean, the striking. He's a bit reckless, I do understand, but William Gomez doesn't have that much power in his hands, and he's not that high of a volume fighter to punish Joe Brito, really. Just for that reason, I'm going to go with Joe Anderson Brito. Next up, we have the co-main event. We have Brandon Allen versus Nasruddin Imavov. I'm picking Nasruddin Imavov because I think Brandon Allen is going to get significantly fraud checked. Like, he's somehow stuck his way into the top 10. I think he's like ranked 7th right now or something. But I don't think any of his wins are good enough to be at the position that he's at. He beat Chris Curtis in his last fight. A split decision, mind you. And honestly, you could have thought that Chris Curtis won that fight. It was only because he got hurt in the 5th where Brandon Allen got the edge, but I'm expecting Brandon Allen to fail some of his takedowns here. Obviously, if he can get the back of Nasruddin Imavov, he would win the fight, but I would say Nasruddin keeps it on the feet. His grappling's pretty good. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, Roman Dolidze is trying to take him down. Who, like, he reversed him, the clinch. Brandon Allen is really good on the ground. If it was 5 rounds, I would say Nasruddin Imavov should be comfortably the pick. But on 3 rounds, I do think Brandon Allen's striking is good enough. Like, he'll close the range, attack the body. And moments like this, like high energy in early rounds, can really determine some of these 3-round fights. And I think Brandon Allen's going to come out real strong. I'm expecting him to win the first round, actually. I think the first round will go to Brandon Allen, and then Nasruddin Imavov should pick up in 2 and 3. Nasruddin's just too slick, too slicey, In the clinch, he'll give him some elbows. If he pushes him against the cage, knees to the thigh, I mean, stuff like that's going to win you fights. And from a distance, he has good enough striking, I think. Some head kicks. Brandon Allen's not the worst, though, but his wins are terrible. I mean, look at Paul Craig, Andre Muniz, Chris Curtis. I mean, these wins just aren't going to do it in the top of the division, considering that everybody has beaten Paul Craig at this point. Like, his one-trick pony, like, style of just, throwing up a triangle, it just isn't working anymore. Someone like Brandon Allen, who took him down, was able to control him and overall just take him apart. Nasruddin Imavov is going to be the pick here. Next up, Nasruddin Imavov, 29-28 decision. I do have money on this, but that is part of a parlay. I'll put this up here somewhere. Next up, we have the main event. Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. I like Renato Moicano, but I think Benoit Saint Denis will destroy him. Pretty brutally as well. I'm expecting a round 1 finish in this fight. But here's the thing with Benoit Saint Denis. He is known to go for takedowns, but with head first. Like, Dustin Poirier was dangerously close to getting some of those guillotines, even though they were kind of stupid. Just because it's just so obvious. When he goes in, he just goes head first, straight up, straight to their groin area. I think if Moicano will win, his best chance is to catch him in a guillotine choke in that situation. But I think Benoit's, like, jiu-jitsu is good enough to get out of those situations. But even then, I just don't think it's going to come to it. I think he's just going to throw leather through the wall. He's going to make it a brawl, honestly. Moicano can catch him. This isn't the best bet, honestly, on the card. But I do have money on it. I've parlayed it with 2 fights from UFC 307. I'll put them here. I think Moicano gets destroyed in the first round. I mean, I think Moicano's a really fun personality, but I also like Benoit Saint Denis. He's a pretty fun fighter. If he wins here, he can look for big matches in the top 10, probably. Maybe against Fiziev when he returns. That's a great fight night main event. I think Benoit Saint Denis destroys Moicano in the first round. Body shots, right uppercut to Moicano. I think he flattens him. Anyway, elsewhere on the card, I'm not doing the prelims in totality, but I will tell you some of my parlays. I have Ludovic Klein beating Roosevelt Roberts. Roosevelt Roberts got let go of the UFC. He came back, got destroyed immediately in his first fight. Ludovic Klein's looked great in his last couple of fights. 22-4. Thiago Moises was his last fight. That was a really good account of himself in terms of like against someone who's kind of like a wrestler, I suppose. Jiu-jitsu guy, really. But I think he destroys him in the first round. I think this is like the lock of the card. It's the most obvious fight. I've parlayed it with the main card fight of Nasruddin and Brandon Allen, as well as Omar Sy beating Jung Da-un. Omar Sy, this is just his second fight in the UFC. His first fight was his opponent was a short, late replacement. The guy that kept going, he's tired, B, and then got destroyed. Jung Da-un is on a 3-fight losing streak, and he did get controlled by Devin Clark when they fought. Stuff like that is not making me the most hopeful for him, especially considering I don't think his takedown defense is going to hold up in this fight whatsoever. I think Omar Sy will control him for 3 rounds, might even finish him with ground and pounds in the 3rd round. Who knows? I'm expecting a dominant win by Omar Sy, who looks like a genetic freak as well, by the way. The guy's ripped out of his mind. He can also strike. He's not the worst striker ever. I'm just expecting complete domination. I've parlayed Ludovic Klein, Omar Sy, and Imavov together. $250. In total for this card, I have $625 on the line. So what I'm thinking about doing with this series is every card I'll put money on the card, and then by the end of the year see how much profit I come out with, and I'll post it like, you know, my reaction videos, I suppose, just so you guys can follow along, just to show that when I'm making predictions, I'm not just, you know, just saying stuff. I'm pretty confident enough to put money on it. So yeah, I mean, that's UFC Fight Night, I suppose. I'll make another video breaking down the main event probably later on, but for now, oh, like, share, and subscribe, please. I have 0 subscribers.